Good morning, everybody. It's time for Morning Manna, and this morning it's all about let it go. Just let it go. That's what we're going to talk about on this morning, and it's time for me to have an impartation into your life. I believe that's going to change your life. It's going to really help you change your life. And I'm going to greet some folk on this morning. Good morning, Ramona. You are always on here on time. You're more on time than I am. I gotta laugh about that because that is so true. You're more on time than I am. Sometimes I'm like 2 or 3 minutes late or what have you. You know, things just be happening. I can't help it all the time. But I'm here. I am here. I got a word for you on this morning. This morning it is let it go. Let it go. That's what we're talking about on this morning. I want to greet some folk on this morning and then get right into it this morning. Good morning, Ramona. Good morning, Brother Nesbitt. Good to see you in church on last Sunday. Good morning, Vaughn. How are you? Arlene, how are you? Joyelle, good to see you. Are you back down in Mississippi yet? It was so good to see you on Sunday, visiting with us and everything. You know, we're always going to be your family. You already know that. Good morning, Valerie. How are you on this morning? Pamela, how are you? Gerald, how are you? Dawn, how are you? Good morning, Brenda. How are you? Verena, how are you doing on this morning? Patrice, how are you on this morning? Elder Jan, how are you doing? Gloria, how are you? Elder Dyer, how are you doing? How are you doing, buddy? We're supposed to meet with you Sunday. We'll get it together. I had one meeting after another. You know, it's just like that sometimes. It's like that sometimes. Good morning, Lena. How are you? Carla, how are you? Thank you for everything. I appreciate it. Showing stuff some love. Really, the first family, I really appreciate it, Carla. You just don't know. Good morning, Pastor Leah. How are you? Linda, how are you? That's Brenda's daughter, of course. You already know. Elder Mobley, how are you? Elder Jan, how are you doing on this morning? Let me greet some more folk on this morning. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you? I did see Nate. I did see him, and I implored him. He's already employed, but he has a volunteer job. I voluntold him. How about that? And he's going to do great. He's going to do well as well. You already know that. Elder Mobley, how are you on this morning? Minister Sent, how are you on this morning? Good morning, Ella. How are you? Pasha, how are you? Anitha, how are you? Look, if it's your first, second, or third time joining us on this morning in Morning Manna Fam, we are here this time every weekday morning, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. 5 minutes or less, give you a word for the day to move you into your day. I just asked you to do a couple, three things. If it's your first, second, or third time joining us, let us know who you are, where you are, so we can shout you out, show you some love. The second thing is put your comments in the chat area. So the cumulative effect will do two things: create community as well as give somebody else the revelation that you got, whether they're listening now or watching later on. Then I need you to share it. Go ahead and share it. You already know that. Let me just greet some more people right here back in Mississippi. Okay. All right, Joel, back there. Francine, how are you doing on this morning? Pasha, how are you on this morning? Good to see you all here hanging out with me on this morning. Couple of more, then we're going to get right to it. Thelma, how are you on this morning? You know, um, somebody said this. It's not original, but it's worth repeating. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping the person who offended you die. It's like you drinking poison and hoping that the person who offended you, hurt you, dies. It's not going to happen. So you got to let it go. No matter what it is, let it go. Let's get right to it. The text to talk, the takeaway, 5 minutes or less. Let's jump right into it. The text is this, Colossians 3:13. Colossians 3:13. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Anybody out there that ever had a grievance? I have. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Let's talk a little bit about the text, and then we're going to get into the three things from the text. Forgiveness isn't just about releasing someone else. It's about freeing yourself. We already said that. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy chain. You think you're punishing them, but in reality, it's weighing you down. It's like carrying a dead person's body on your back. It's one of the ways that Paul talks about carrying a burden, and so therefore you smell it the whole time. The truth is, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, excusing, or allowing to continue to harm you. It means surrendering the offense to God and trusting Him for the outcome. Joseph, you already know his story. They put that brother through some stuff, but at the end, you meant it for evil. God meant it for good. The injustice that was brought to him, and we all deal with injustice. It's not ours. It's God's to deal with. There's three things you need to do, and I need you to share this if you're struggling or if you know someone that is struggling. One is forgiveness is an act of faith, not an act of feelings. I want you to grab that. It's an act of faith, not an act of feelings. You may not feel like forgiving. You may not even feel that you have forgiven, but it's an obedience to God's word, just like He says, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Second thing is this: trusting God means leaving the outcome in His hands. Yeah, leave it in His hands. Vengeance belongs to the Lord, Romans 12:19. He will handle what you cannot. You already said it. I got the outcome. The third thing that I want you to grab coming from the text is unforgiveness hinders your blessings. It does. It does. Jesus said, if you do not forgive others of their sins, your Father, this is heavy, will not forgive you of yours. Matthew 6:15. Holding on to grudges blocks the flow of the grace in your life. So what do? What's your takeaway this morning? That was the talk. What's the takeaway? Let go and let God. Straightforward. It's simple. Let go and let God. God's got you. The Lord be with you today. May His face shine upon you and give you peace. If this bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the manna. I'll see you tomorrow morning with more morning manna and our prayer at 7:15. You already got it. Bye now.